Hello, everyone. This is Matt Fuller with Jason's Heart.
This is Jason with Jason's Heart.
And we got to do it.
And look at that. I did that first.
You did. I like it. You're getting better, man.
We're getting there.
You're getting there. So I thought let's take a second and let everybody know what's happening. We are getting ready to make our next transition and start having some more in-depth conversations about mental health.
Yep.
And the barriers and challenges that we see there and some of the ways we can impact that. But the big news is we've got a fantastic gentleman on here, Mr. Jared Frey from the Bipolar Bachelor Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to share some of his experience with mental health and some of the things that he has dealt with. And we'll kind of let him share his story a little bit and get some good information.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, without further ado, let's bring Mr. Jared in. And there he is.
Hi, guys.
Sir, can you? Yeah, we hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, man. Loud and clear.
Beautiful. There you go.
How's your evening?
It's going quite well. I just woke up from a nap. I took a nap after having a leisurely day off of work. So, just kind of chilling and getting ready for what the night unfolds. I'm actually recording a podcast tonight with Ross and Jane Quick, episode 10, part 2 of season 2. So we're really looking forward to that. And I've been looking forward to this podcast since we planned it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me.
Yeah. And I don't know, you haven't formally met Jason, but this is our Jason.
Hey there.
Hi, Jason.
Good to meet you.
And I loved the first time I talked to Jared because he's got an Australian accent.
Mm-hmm.
Not because he's Australian, though, but you work for a company that's in Australia, correct?
I do part-time, and I'm actually British by birth.
Oh, well,
there you go.
Close enough, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we were just kind of talking about recently we've done some segments on barriers for folks that have come out of incarceration or custody. And we've started transitioning over to mental health and just wanted to get you on the conch here with us and have a deep conversation about some of those things. And, I know we've kind of talked about that. So
yeah,
tell us a little bit, like, I'm really curious, like your background and with your Bipolar Bachelor podcast and how that all started and maybe a little bit.
Well, the Bipolar Bachelor Podcast is a journey unlike anything other. It's filled with mountaintop highs and deadly valley lows, and it's been an adventure that I'd love to share with you guys today on your podcast. I started production for the podcast in February of 2021, and I recorded the first 4 episodes out of my grandmother's house, which is just a few blocks away from me. Mimi, if you're listening to this, I hope you're enjoying it. She may be in the audience, who knows? But she loves to listen to all the stuff that I do, including the podcast that I'm on. She loves listening to it, and she critiques it and picks it apart and everything. So, but anyway. So the episodes launched April 7th, the first 4 episodes, including a trailer episode. And then we built out from there and had the first interview at episode 4 of season 1 with Dylan. He was a neighbor of mine who lived in the apartment complex I own. And I had a candid conversation with him while being in a manic episode about depression and the effects of depression on someone like me who's bipolar and how a depressive episode looks. And then on season 1, episode 5 is when we started doing real interviews with our first ever guest outside of like my friend sphere. Roddy was the first one who connected with us and did an Instagram live, all that kind of stuff. We did an episode where she came on and just talked about what she does with healing work and breath work and all that kind of stuff. So really cool opportunity to work with her, you know. So then I did episode 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so on. Alone manic and psychotic episode from episode probably 8 to 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. I was fully manic and psychotic, and I broke up with an ex, and she left me, and just job change and all this kind of stuff. And it was really kind of chaotic for a while. And so after episode 16 of season 1, I called it quits in October, and I had a break. And, you know, for the first time in my life, I felt like I finally could come up for air again, you know, after not having a podcast to produce for months. I went almost 6 months, 6 months on break, and then came back in February of this year January of this year with a series called Mardi Gras Instagram Live series, where I came on with the Mardi Gras beads that you see in the background, and you know, the crowns and all that kind of stuff. And I led that into the premiere of season 2, which just aired a few weeks ago. And we're working on season 2, episode 3 right now, which is scripted. So we've come back stronger, and there's a lot higher quality guests. Not that any of my guests in season 1 weren't quality, but what I mean by that is there's a new caliber. It's different people. It's bigger markets. It's people reaching out to us like you guys and Jason's Heart and getting us on their podcast, and us returning the favor and having them on our podcast. So it's really an exciting journey that I'm grateful to be a part of, because without the Bipolar Bachelor podcast, nails are blue, by the way, for World Bipolar Day coming up March 30th. That's when episode 14 of season 2 is going to air or be created. So stay on, keep in touch on Instagram for that. But thank you guys so much for having me on. I mean, this has been a joy. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. So I hope that kind of answered your questions, what it's like to build the podcast. I mean, we have audiences over 175 different countries, tens of thousands upon hundreds of thousands of downloads, and great Apple ratings on Apple Podcasts. So, you know, I'm doing the damn thing. It kind of happened overnight with the fame and not fame, but fame for podcasters, and success of the podcast reaching over 175 countries in a matter of a year is a big achievement. So
yeah, that's huge.
I'm
man.
grateful.
What were some of the challenges you faced along your journey? Not necessarily, you know, with the podcast, but with also, you know, having the bipolar, having those episodes of those highs and lows. What's some of the challenges you face?
Yeah, so some of the challenges I faced were keeping a sound mind, because oftentimes in arenas where you lose touch with reality, it's easy to lose your mind, and it's very difficult to face the fact that you aren't in touch with reality. And a lot of times, most of us who are psychotic don't want to admit we're psychotic, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's just important to stress the fact that I wasn't well for a long time, and now I'm fully optimal again. I mean, I just got out of a hospital stay, but it was just a med check hospital stay, so nothing major. But what happened is, you know, we need to make changes to the medication, and that's what caused the spike last year with the manic episode, like I talked about already. And that's similar to what happened this go around too, where I was hospitalized for the first time in 2 years, 3 years. And so I think it's important to note that we need to make sure we're mentally stable in those times and mentally grounded, because what you need to do is work on grounding and breath work to be able to keep you grounded and help you to breathe through anxious episodes, panic attacks, anything like that. And it helps to get you centered and grounded, because we all need to be a little grounded. I mean, everybody's got to be a little grounded nowadays, especially with the way that work is structured here in America, where we work 9 to 5 jobs and no break, and it's time to go home and then record a podcast and eat dinner and then go to bed and do it all over again. So
Right. Totally.
Understand.
Never ends.
Yeah.
Well, and I know in our conversations, you and I talked, and I shared one of my really longtime friends from little kids is bipolar.
Yeah.
Just for his sake, I obviously won't mention his name.
Right.
To be respectful of him, but I've certainly seen some of those challenges, and you and I had those conversations, but one of our missions is trying to remove barriers for folks who have come out of custody, in this case, mental health, anything
Right.
like that, and trying to figure out, how we overcome those barriers. So one of my questions for you, would be, how do we do that? What challenges did you face for employment? I think we might have lost your camera too, just so you know.
Let's see. It looks like you did. Huh.
There
Is
you
it
go.
back?
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
Okay.
So I was just curious. Oh yeah, sorry. No, that's all good, man. I was just more curious on, you kind of know the trajectory we're trying to head with removing those barriers, but I'm just kind of curious if you can share some of the barriers that you face with employment, and if there was anything specific that stood out to you.
Yeah. Sorry, a little dry throat. Got to keep those vocal cords lubricated.
That's right. We got the happy tea here.
Yeah, I see that.
Well, it's been a long day, and I also have a smiley mask, and sometimes I just put that smiley mask on, even if I'm not smiling, but people who see me think I am. So therefore, it's
You
still,
are.
it's still
That's hilarious.
I'm still giving out the smile. So
there you go. That's hilarious. I have a Harry Potter mask that says my house on it. I'm Hogwarts. I'm Hufflepuff, and it says Hufflepuff on it. It's yellow with the badger and black, and real cool.
Nice.
But it's one of my favorite masks. So, but I'll put a crown on instead. No, I'm not gonna put a crown on. This is one of the crowns I wear on the show, which is part of the reason why I want to bring this up, if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah.
I wear the crowns because I want people to be empowered to be kings, queens, and everything in between. Not because I'm trying to promote any particular lifestyle or anything like that. I'm not endorsing anything or whatever, but because of the fact that I'm a king, a woman would be a queen, and then someone in between is just someone who's confused, or whatever. You know what I mean?
I figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. So I empower myself to be a king because I, believe that there are greater things out there than just yourself, God or whatever you want to call them, the universe. Angels are out there, all that stuff. Demons, the spawn of Satan's probably running around somewhere in my apartment right now. And so I think it's important for us to empower ourselves and give us that power to be able to take back from the dark side the energy that was taken from us throughout the day. Like today, I did literally nothing but lay around because I'm on suspension from my part-time job, and they're investigating a case that was alleged against me from an administrator. So we're on suspended leave. I don't know if it'll be paid or unpaid. It better be paid, is all I gotta say. And so I think on that note, I'll bring it back to the question that you were trying to ask. Now remind me of the question because we got lost. We
were just kind of curious, with any barriers for employment, with your background, and if you faced any of those and what they were and how you kind of overcame them.
I think there's a lot of discrimination even in the workplace, and I think that's part of what I'm dealing with right now. It's discrimination and harassment. So I won't stand for it. I'll bring a lawsuit if I have to, to get people to respect what mental health really is and what disability really is and what living with a disorder and a mental illness really can be like, because people just often think, oh, you don't want to get out of bed you must just be tired. No, I'm not. I'm depressed. And it's a crushing low for me, as opposed to the mountaintop valley highs of mania,
Yeah.
or psychosis. When you lose touch with reality in either both mania or depression, and you're not really there, you lose track of space and time and all those things. And so I think
Mhm.
holding a job down can be a really difficult thing to accomplish when someone's bipolar because of the types of mood swings. I'm rapid cycling, which means I cycle in and out of multiple episodes of depression and mania in a year,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I deal with this a lot where it's acutely important that I stay out of the hospital because hospitals are so traumatizing for me because I've been raped in the hospitals, I've been beat up in the hospitals, I've been told that I can't go to the bathroom and I have to use the bathroom in my room because there's that type of people in the world in hospitals, and it's just I don't do well in them. They're not a good place for me. So we try and manage everything that we can outside of the hospital, in my own home or in my parents' home or my grandmother's house, whoever. And so I think it's really important to answer your question, Matt, that people be a little more open-minded when it comes to the workplace, and try and be more inclusive than when it comes to the workplace. And I think if people could really be more understanding of like things like mental health days that are needed, somebody may just need to take a day and sleep all day, like I'm doing. I'm on
Right.
suspension and I'm not getting paid, or I don't know if I'm getting paid. So,
Yeah.
I'll take that one. But what I think is it's important for people to be understanding of the different types of mental illness that there are and the way that they affect people on a normal basis and
Yeah.
how they affect people on a normal basis. So that's what I'm sharing as far as that's concerned. I mean, what do you guys think? Is there a rebuttal? Any thoughts or?
Well, here's my thought about that. One thing is also each person is different in how they show, those highs and lows and how they handle
Right,
those highs and lows. And so for someone who like me, my friend had bipolar disease. He passed last year, and I could see when he was in those good areas and when he was in the bad areas
Yep.
because we'd either talk a lot or we wouldn't talk at all for a
right,
month.
right.
And so I tried to understand that as much as I could. What are some ways that people who are friends or acquaintances, how are some ways that we can be more understanding and be more supportive?
I think
Yes.
my friend, it's best. Oh, my camera's off again, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yep. I just
Just went
noticed
off.
it.
Lovely.
It's all
All
right.
right,
It's
It
all right,
let's
sir.
happens.
see.
That's the
Is
beauty
that
of
better?
podcast.
I don't
Yep.
know what I
Yes.
keep hitting by accident. It must be on my keyboard. The studio of the Bipolar Bachelor Podcast isn't great.
Right. We have camera. We don't. We have camera. We don't. It's all
Yeah,
good.
exactly. Joys of live show, huh? And I've got a suit laying in the background. I just realized. I'm sorry, I didn't pick that up before we started filming. Hello,
You're good.
You
the
come as you
studio of the
are.
Bipolar Bachelor.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, let's ask that question again, Jason. Just
What are
so
some ways that someone who, like if I with my friend, interacting, how are some ways that I can better understand what they're going through? How are some ways that I can better support someone with, mental health, especially with the bipolar?
Yeah.
yeah. I think the best way to support is to educate yourself. This is a homeopathic remedy, which is made of snake venom, and it's meant to be like a vaccine. You introduce a little bit of the live enemy into a healthy atmosphere. Does it pollute it and take it over, or does it die and you're immune to it, or does it kill you? One of the three. For me, it
Yeah.
would probably kill me.
Right.
Which is why I haven't gotten the vaccine yet, and that's neither here nor there. I'm going on a cruise in May of 2023, so I may have to get it if I,
Right.
want to go on a cruise.
Right.
And the mask mandates aren't lifted. They
Yeah.
just got lifted here in New Orleans, by the way. I don't know if they are where you guys are.
They are for the most
Yeah.
part. I mean, medical
Okay.
practices and hospital are
Yeah.
probably the exceptions.
Yeah. So I think educating yourself is the most important thing you can do. You can take courses with NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Health. you can take courses with just like a Red Cross course on mental health, which is just like getting your lifeguard certification or taking a course online with the Red Cross. They have them in person too. Support groups, I would recommend getting into a support group to be a peer support with your friend who may or may not struggle with mental illness. I think it's important that everybody has peer support. And I'm grateful to my peer supports, Rochelle and Charles and Yvette, who come to see me on a regular basis and help me to function. So I think that's another important way that people can join the conversation and seek to help strike out the stigma surrounding mental health, you know?
It does certainly seem to have taken on a stigmatism over the years.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
It's something with my friend, for a while I didn't understand why we would go a month without any answering phone calls, but yet the next week we're getting calls 5 times a day. And, as we discussed more and I learned more, I could understand more, and I was trying to be, more compassionate in a way, more respectful.
Right.
Yeah.
Understanding, just letting him have his time when he wanted his time.
Yeah.
Because I knew how he needed that time just to let everything else, go away to where he could have that good conversation. So I appreciate that answer. I just, that's just something that when it comes to mental health, there is a huge stigma. And the more we do educate ourselves about it, the more we are able to not just scuff off that person, but you support that person and help them seek, the treatment and support, that will help the person, live a more normal life.
Yeah, important. And the medicine to remedy ratio is really important too, because what you're taking on your medical side, your physician side, your psychiatric side, that could affect the way a remedy affects you too. Cigarette smoking also affects it. Eating too much also affects it. Just like cigarette smoking. I mean, whatever. I lost my train of thought with that, but like
alcohol probably doesn't.
Yeah. So I think it's important to bring it back around to focus. I think it's important to educate yourself, really, before assuming anything about people with bipolar disorder or any kind of mental illness. That's our superpower. It's our superpower, but it's our curse, So it's the cross that we have to bear in this life. And some people, it's unbearable and they kill themselves. Other people are successful, I mean, it's been a journey unlike any other to get to the point where I can be successful. But now that I am successful and I'm holding down jobs and I'm moving, I have my own company, I'm moving things, I'm moving and shaking in the podcast world finally after a year and, growing and thriving there. But it's about time that other people got the spotlight other than Beyonce and Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper and all those celebrities that are always in the spotlight. It's about time somebody else took the spotlight away and allowed for a voice to be brought and a voice to be heard in a case like for bipolar disorder or for schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder or any mental illness, anorexia, And it's about time that somebody shine a light on them and stop trying to help strike out the stigma, basically. That's been Bipolar Bachelor's mission from day one, is to reach one person and to help strike out the stigma. And that's what we do every day on our podcast. The episode that we have tonight is, how are you going to strike out the stigma? What's your story? Talk to us about who you are. Share who you guys are. You guys are coming on in April, so I'm excited about that. So
super excited, man.
Yeah. So
well, I think you made a good point there too, that putting the spotlight on someone, but also putting it on someone who is actually sat in the seat, like you lived it, so you know better than anyone. So it's the same reason why oftentimes folks that have substance use issues and overcome those, they make the best counselors and substance use treatment coordinators, because they've sat in the seat, man. They get it, like they know. So I think it is good that light refocuses, like you were saying, on someone like yourself that's been there. They've been down that road, so they know what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree with you.
Do you have any stories that you share usually that are impactful if someone out there is suffering from mental health or going through it? A story or a win that you've experienced to kind of give people hope that, hey, look, I did it, you can do it.
Yeah. I generally tell my most recent experience. So in 2019, I was working for the Roosevelt Hotel, which is one of the I just said their name. I'm probably gonna get a lawsuit anyway. I generally leave the names of the hotels out, so I won't say the second hotel that I worked for.
We'll bleep it on our end.
Yeah, bleep it out. Bleep it out.
Right.
Bleep. So I was working for this hotel, this prestigious hotel in the city as a food and beverage outlets manager, and I climbed my way to a really well-paying job, really great salary, really amazing benefits, best benefits I've ever had in my career. And I'm at this pinnacle, this highlight, this moment where in time I didn't realize right around the corner was mania psychosis, and because it had begun to set in so slowly in me, and so quietly. So I didn't really have a grasp on reality for about a couple of weeks, and then 2 weeks later I realized, oh, I lost my job because I was bipolar. I had mania and made 2 poor decisions. The hotel didn't know that because I didn't disclose to them that I was bipolar. So they just thought I was making these poor decisions and writing me up and, allowing me to stay on until 2 weeks later when they fired me. So from that point, my life was a living hell. I tried starting a company in mania. Don't ever start mania. It never works. Just saying,
It's mania enough.
Well, no, yeah, mania is enough. And I think it's enough because to start a company in mania takes a lot of balls or it takes a lot of stupidity. One of the two, and I haven't decided yet because the company I started in mania is now what's funding my podcast. So
Nice.
something good came out of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it's really just, perseverance and maybe think twice before starting a company when in a manic mode. Mania mode.
Right.
One thing I did have a question about, real quick. We're talking about understanding, people learning more about bipolar and how it does affect, people, and it's so much different from what, I would feel. When it does come to employment, what type of, when you disclose that, you are bipolar, what kind of accommodations should more employers provide?
And do they?
Good question. Not really here in America, I've noticed. I mean, my company, so I thought my company was the best company to ever work for because they gave mental health days, they gave sick days, they gave paid time off, they've given different incentives throughout the week to get free time and whatever. Just a lot of great incentives in the package, but where they could go more is hospital stays, making that a paid time off, paying for not paying for the hospital stay, paying the employee through working as if they worked through the hospital stay, because I just didn't get paid for probably 2 weeks. I got paid less than half of what I make in a week on a 2-week pay period because I was in the hospital for 10 days, Yeah. So as far as like the story goes that I tell, that's kind of it, because I've come from a place of going through therapy and counseling in the months after I had the hospital stays of 2019 and 2020 to well, to being successful and coming back from the grave and turning back into life, coming back to life from death and all that other great imagery and stuff that we could talk about for days. But the point of the matter is this, and this alone, don't ever be afraid of your mental illness, because what the people in the workplace need to know is that we're powerful, we're strong, we're resilient, and we'll be the best damn workers you've ever had. Because a lot of us have been raised with really good work ethics, if not through these disorders, developed positive characteristics and traits from our illnesses that make us who we are. So we're strong in number, we're mighty in number, and we're growing in number, and we're proud in number. So don't mess with bipolar person.
I love what you just said, because
Yeah, that's cool.
it's very, very, yes, very cool. That's awesome. Thank you so much for definitely sharing what you've shared with us.
Absolutely, my friends.
I certainly appreciate that. I love hearing other people talk and hearing their side of things, because I'm standing here and I see things from here. There's times where I'll sit there and I'll pull a chair out and I'll stand up on that chair and look at that room just to get a different view. And once I see it different, it's a whole new world. And so, thank you for taking some time and sharing with us today.
Yeah. And do you do stuff too, Jared, outside of your podcast? Like, and I'm just asking this question because it's a fight that we are fighting, in a way. Do you do a lot outside of that, like trying to meet with like HR groups for the state of Louisiana, or, employment groups, or anybody? Are you going out and advocating or talking about, bipolar and mental health outside the podcast?
Yeah, I do. We do a lot of work with the MRC, the Metaphysical Resource Center, and other places like that who support what we're doing with the bipolar disorder and awareness, and raising awareness and helping to strike out the stigma surrounding it. So we do a lot of work with nonprofits and stuff like that, and organizations around Louisiana and the country, like NAMI. We talk about them all the time on the podcast. We do ads and stuff like that. So there's a lot that I'm doing. I got my hands in a lot of pots. Let's just say that.
No, and that's good. And, it was really just kind of picking your brain because, we're building this program and we're trying to figure out, or I shouldn't say figure out, but maybe try to think through some of the barriers we're going to encounter that we probably haven't thought of, and how we're going to overcome those, how to break through with HR departments and other organizations. I think a lot of it, we found traction with our nonprofit partners that are doing similar things to all of us, us. And just, finding that strength in numbers, as you also mentioned. And then, it's like one boot on the ground at a time, like get in front of an HR person, get in front of this person, and just keep telling it, just keep hammering it until someone decides to change their view a little.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do here at the Bipolar Bachelor Podcast, especially now in season 2. So say a prayer, just say a prayer for us. Consider donating to the podcast. You can do so on my Anchor page or Spotify page, make donations, subscribe for bonus content and stuff like that. We have a Patreon as well. Venmo, Cash App, however you want to do it, feel free to throw us a little something, because it's the company LLI LLC backs financially the podcast right now, and that's who affords to buy us these fancy new microphones that we've got, the booms, the software contracts, all the stuff that you pay for with the podcast, the background, the lighting, everything, the hair, the makeup, the jewelry. No, but you know what I'm saying. So
all the bling.
Yeah, all the bling. I would know all about that. I've got enough on for Princess Diana to come back from the grave. Lord have mercy.
And I'm glad, and I know both Jason and I have been personally impacted with mental health, specifically bipolar, oddly enough. But I'm glad you mentioned March 30th, because that is definitely something I did not know. And I feel obligated to do that, not only on your behalf, but also my really good friend that is continuing his battle.
Right. World Bipolar Day. Go check it out. March 30th.
Right?
Yep.
Well, and we also have, so one of the things we do here, and maybe I'm trying to think if we should do it on this one or on the next. I think we should do it on this one. And then when we come on your podcast next month, you can kind of show it, but we've got a challenge coin that we do for select folks like you. Would be a great candidate. It's called Memento Mori, and it's basically, it sounds kind of morbid at first, but it's meant to represent, remember your death.
Okay.
What it really means is, to me, I guess, is live each day to its fullest, because right now, this moment, us talking right here, this is all we are guaranteed, right? So to me, it's like that challenge coin to wake up every day and make the most of it, and remember that, every minute, every hour is a blessing, and not to take it for granted. So I want to get one of those. We'll send you out one today. Sweet. And get it to you before your podcast, and then you can show everyone.
I'd love it. I'm down. Let's do it.
And see, I actually have a different perception of what that says.
Yeah.
For me, it's if I were to be hit by a bus today, or if Jason's heart stopped, but if I were to happen to pass today, what am I leaving behind?
Yeah.
That's
your legacy.
So what am I doing today to build that better tomorrow? And that's kind of, what it means to me when I hear that.
Yeah.
So, remember your death. So
so that's
very nice.
We'll let you interpret that your own way, but it's just a nice little gift that we like to give to folks that we interact with, we interview, or we work with as a partner. It's just a nice thing to strengthen you and us.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So awesome, sir. Well, I think that's all I had for you, and I would reiterate what Jason said. I mean, you're incredibly gracious and giving and transparent in sharing your story. Some folks aren't, but I think it's incredibly important that you have, and I'm incredibly impressed by you and the work that you have done, and the barriers, man, that you have had to overcome, and yet you're sitting here. You are a testament to doing the work, my friend, and that you can overcome,
You can, and you will, and I believe in you. No matter who you are, no matter what your story is, no matter where you come from, God's got a plan for you, and it's time for you to step into that plan and fully embrace who you are, So I have hope, and I believe in you. That's all there is to it. Need anything else? Call me out.
I like that.
No, I do, and I hope that the more we get your message out there, the more people that hear it, that need to hear it.
Right.
You just never know the impact you're going to make. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely right.
It's super
absolutely
important.
Right, yeah.
But well, we will let you get back to your evening. I'm again super appreciative. Thank you for sharing.
Yes,
absolutely.
And I look super forward to next month and coming on and sharing with you a little bit about what we've got going, and maybe get some folks in Louisiana motivated to get this thing rolling.
Yes, I'm very excited about having you guys on. It's going to be a blast.
Awesome. All right, my friend. Have a great night, and thank you so much
you guys
again for sharing.
Too. All right. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, Jared. Have a good night, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye. All right, there you have it. That's the guy, and Jared's just he's so open to sharing, and I just think that's hugely important.
And giving the message out, like he said, his mission is to just help out one person.
Yeah.
And if he does that, then he's got a victory. Yeah. But he's not stopping there. He's continuing. He wants to build it more and more. And so it's impressive to see where he's gotten.
Yeah.
So it was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's really cool. So we're going to continue in the next few episodes. We've got another great interview coming up, which, we will keep a secret, hush, hush, under wraps. So, but yeah, check us out. Social media is Jason's Heart 402. Yep. And you can go to the website,
jasonsheart.org.
Yep. If you want to support us, we really could use your support. We're trying to grow this thing and get more folks re-engaged with our community. So
exactly, we just want to help one person, at a time, and continue to help one more. And we'd love it if you'd walk with us.
Yeah. So check us out. Again, jasonsheart.org, JSTAR 402. We will see you